everyone, it's Lori, and I'm here today with Charlotte, and we are going to have a little discussion about the book Paradise Lost by John Milton. This is one of the books that we're reading this year for British literature, and for every book the girls do some sort of project, and she didn't have an idea for this one, so I said we could make a video that she gets to edit later. So,
yay!
We'll get started with just a little basics about Paradise Lost. So can you give a brief overview of what Paradise Lost is?
That is hopefully not, contaminated by my opinion. Paradise Lost is a retelling of the fall of mankind, starting from when the angels fall from heaven.
Okay, pretty good. So it's taking the biblical accounts of the fallen angels through the fall of Adam and Eve, through the exile from the garden, in a literature format. So it's much, much longer than the biblical account and very kind of drawn out.
Yes.
So I guess we'll get opinions out of the way first. What did you think of reading Paradise Lost?
It wasn't good. It was quite terrible. It was like a fan fiction. And that's not really a compliment, but I don't really understand why it would be so long and drawn out and why he can't just say things in a less convoluted manner. The translator, the person who translated this edition, definitely thought that John Milton put great thought into the intricacy of literally everything.
Okay, so problem with what you're saying is that this is not a translated work.
Oh, it's not a translated?
No.
Okay.
No, there's an introduction and notes.
And notes. The person who did the notes
and the introduction
loves Paradise Lost, apparently. And
so, in defense of the book, I will say that it was written kind of to be an epic poem in the manner of Homer, Beowulf. We've read some epic poems recently. So comparatively speaking, you found this to be less engaging than, say, Beowulf
or the Aeneid. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to kind of have a little discussion. I've got a list of some questions that we're going to go through. We're not going to do all of them, but just to get us started. Okay, so what did you like best about this book? You have to pick something you liked.
I kind of like how everything was personified.
Okay.
It was kind of funny to see. And to see that, and also to see the, demons that from all around the world coming together and complaining. That was fun.
Okay, and so what was your least favorite thing?
Least favorite. That's hard, because I didn't really like most of it. The illustrations, actually.
There were illustrations?
Yeah.
Huh. Full disclosure, I started reading this edition, and this bookmark here may be the bookmark as far as I got with physically reading it. I've been struggling with just reading in general right now, so I checked out an audiobook version, so I don't know anything about the illustrations, because I don't remember there being any, but then again, I'm not an illustration person, so I can very easily overlook illustrations, unlike my daughters who don't overlook those.
No.
what other books does Paradise Lost remind you of?
That's kind of hard because it's based off of Bible stories. So, of course, the plot reminds me of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But the structure and everything just reminds me of a fan fiction.
Would you read another book by this author, and why or why not?
No, I would not. I liked the story and the plot as he saw it, but the way he told it just bothered me. And it's not necessarily that he used fancy language. It's just that I don't really think he put too much thought into it. I don't really know.
Okay. So was it like the poetry styling that you didn't like, do you feel like?
Just the things that he paid most attention to.
Okay, so like the details that he found most interesting, you just didn't really want the details about. And
No.
perhaps the things you would want more details about, there was
Or
less
like-
detail?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. What feelings did this book evoke in you? Besides
Disappointment and
rage.
rage.
Disappointment and rage.
Mm,
I will admit it kind of evoked feelings of annoyance in me.
yes.
So it's just like, I just need to get this done.
Exhaustion.
And since it's like not a new storyline, since it's a retelling, I don't know, I think it can be really hard to do a retelling to the point where it's an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
I find that with modern like books too. Sometimes we'll like read a retelling sort of book, and a lot of times they can be kind of disappointing because either they're not true enough to the source material, or they're almost too true to the source material and don't have any
And there's
originality.
nothing different.
Originality. Can't talk. Okay. So yeah, I can understand kind of feeling a little annoyed and just not thoroughly engaged with this one.
No.
Okay, what do you think of the book's length? Would you do, if it's too long, what would you cut? If it's too short, what would you add? If it's a little bit of both, I guess that's fine too.
I would cut every single conversation in half.
He does like his conversations, I will.
That would make it like 30 pages long, but
That seems almost more reasonable for the story.
yeah.
Instead of, what, 400 and something?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not quite that bad. It just felt like it. It's in the 300s anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you think of the title of the book? And would you make any changes to it?
I like the title more than the book. The title's good.
You appreciate the title.
Yes.
It did take a long time for Paradise to be lost.
Well, it depends on your perspective. If it's from the perspective of the devil, then Paradise was lost in like 2 seconds flat.
But I think, generally speaking, when we refer to Paradise Lost, we're talking about the
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve being forced out of the Garden of Eden.
That was like the last sentence.
Maybe not quite, but there are like a good 11 books before you got to that, for sure.
Yeah.
How about the cover? Do you like the cover art?
It's better than the illustrations inside.
Yeah,
But
got some angels doing battle.
it's nice that they're mostly clothed.
Yeah,
That's
that is
not
nice.
normal. But
We didn't buy this edition for the cover or anything. We bought it because it was at the thrift store and it was $3. So that's why we have this particular edition. I will say the narrator, I think it was Ralph Cosham might have been the narrator, of the audiobook was pretty good. A little bit on the slow side, so I did have to speed it up to keep my sanity. But I find that with actually quite a few narrators I have to speed up.
It's probably because our family talks really fast.
I don't know if we talk fast. Okay, what do you think the author's purpose was in writing this book? What idea was he trying to get across?
Well, according to the person who did the introduction and notes, his purpose was something. I can't remember. I did a quiz and everything that asked what the purpose was, and I got it right, because it was the most suck-uppy answer. But I think the purpose that the author had was to kind of make people see the story of the fall of man from basically everyone's point of view.
Okay, yeah. You do get a lot more point of views in Paradise Lost than you do in the biblical account, because the biblical account is fairly cut and dry.
Mm-hmm.
This happened, this happened, this happened. The end. So, that's true. And that is probably something that was done pretty well. I mean, you don't feel like anybody really got left out at all.
No.
Maybe they should have a little bit more, but...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another one of the questions was, if you could hear the same story from another person's point of view, who would you choose? Well, given that we got everybody's point of view, that one might not be necessary.
No.
How about the pacing of the book? Did it feel too fast, too slow, or just right?
Just right.
Sometimes the pacing's just right in a book. Not that often.
No.
Sometimes.
It went pretty slow, but there were some points where it was like, wait a minute, what just happened?
You say it can be both, you know. Pacing sometimes will be slow for part of a book, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, wait, that was too fast. I'm not really sure why all of a sudden everything speeds up.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of felt that particularly towards the end of the book. Like, towards the beginning, really slow.
Yes.
Like, we have to discuss everything with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think we got to Adam and Eve till, like...
Book 6?
Yeah, I say book 7. I don't know. But, like, halfway through the poem, Adam and Eve finally show up. And then the final book felt very rushed.
Yeah.
And maybe Milton was just getting tired. Because I could understand that at that point.
Yes.
So, why do you think Milton chose to tell this story?
I'm not really sure. Maybe it was his favorite Bible story when he was a kid. I kind of doubt that because I don't really know why it would be anyone's favorite Bible story.
Well, I mean...
There
okay.
is the redemption.
Milton would have been a boy.
This is true.
And there's an angel with a sword. I'm just saying. Maybe it wouldn't be yours. Yours was probably like
Ruth.
Esther. Yeah, exactly.
It was definitely Ruth.
Less swords. Although, you know, there's some women in the Bible that like chop off people's heads.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I think it could have been. It's possible. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
why.
I don't think it is.
Do you feel like maybe he was moralizing a little bit? Like trying to
Sympathize with the other characters?
No. Like almost a morality tale. Like, so showing us the fall of the angels and showing us the fall of Adam and Eve in a you are a sinful being, shape up sort of manner.
Yeah. That does kind of Adam.
So that could be it. I'm not really sure.
It's kind of hard to know when the author's been dead for hundreds of years.
Yep. Any final thoughts you have on Paradise Lost? Would you like to maybe state where it falls in the books we've read this year for British literature? Or...
So the books we've read so far are Beowulf,
Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Then Canterbury Tales.
Canterbury Tales.
There's one more.
King Lear.
King Lear.
I feel like there was one more other than that.
I think I liked King Lear best, Beowulf next. I don't know. I think I liked Canterbury Tales a bit more than Paradise Lost, mostly.
But on the other hand, you only had to read excerpts of that one, so that probably did improve it some.
Mm-hmm.
I still think I liked Canterbury Tales more than Paradise Lost, and I read the whole thing, but it was pretty crude, so...
We read parts of it and not the whole thing.
They didn't read the crudest parts, but, like, it was more entertaining even though it was cruder. I mean, that's kind of sad to say, but, you know, just in being, like, different stories, if one of them was like, well, I don't like this story, at least you knew you were moving on to something else.
Yeah.
Whereas with Paradise Lost, you're like, nope.
You're doomed to
Same thing.
Finish it.
And up next, we're going to be doing Jane Austen. So Eve and I will be reading Pride and Prejudice. Charlotte has read Pride and Prejudice approximately 700,000 times.
Only five.
Only 5. She's 13.
Only 5.
And she's read Pride and Prejudice 5 times. So, I think she's going to pick a different Austen novel. So what Austen novel are you leaning towards right now?
I do like the sound of Emma. I also like the sound of, is it Mansfield Park that has Fanny Price?
Mm-hmm.
So...
I might have to look into those two and see which one sounds better. So, final thoughts.
I don't think I will ever read this again. I do think it was probably worth my time to read it. Though, I don't really know why yet.
You have to think about it a little bit longer.
Yes.
Sometimes that's how it goes. Okay, so I guess we'll end this one here. Thanks so much for watching. If you like hearing about random books, we're very random around here, so feel free to click the subscribe button. Other than that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.